This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Trump takes center stage. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. President Trump delivers the first State of the Union address of his second term tonight to a joint session of Congress. He'll set the table for the GOP agenda heading into the crucial 2026 midterms.
We have a country that's now doing well. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. You'll be hearing me say that. I mean, it's going to be a long speech because we have so much to talk about.
Kristen Welker, moderator of the NBC Meet the Press show.
You will focus on the fact that this year marks America's 250th birthday, so expect a hopeful tone. One senior administration official telling me overnight the president is still putting the final touches on the speech in these final hours before he delivers it.
CBS's Nancy Cordes says the state of the economy will be front and center tonight.
Trump does have some work to do to change public perception when it comes to the number one issue of the economy. 74% of Americans said that Trump hasn't been focused enough on lowering prices, and only 23% say he's spending the right amount of time on it.
Political analyst Amy Dacey says tone will be as important as substance this evening.
Is it going to be a positive, forward-looking type thing, or is it going to be some of the negative rhetoric we've seen in a lot of different political spaces?
The president's invited the gold medal-winning U.S. men's Olympic hockey team to attend tonight's speech. Many Democrats are boycotting it. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger will deliver the Democratic rebuttal. The president's speech set for 9 o'clock tonight. The Northeast continues to dig out from a bomb cyclone that dumped record snow from Delaware to Maine.
It's going to be a lot of shoveling. We'll take it as it goes. I'm sick of it.
A record 3 feet of snow fell in Providence, Rhode Island. The entire state of New Jersey was under a blizzard warning. That hasn't happened in 30 years. New York City got the most snow it's seen in more than 10 years. Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
We are plowing streets and doing everything we can to keep our roadways clear.
Correspondent Emily Aketa continues our coverage.
This blizzard was a massive snowmaker, dumping more than 2 feet of snow on parts of 5 states, including 26 inches here in Freehold, New Jersey. And now the crews have to find a place to put that snow. Plows working around the clock, resulting in massive snow piles that just keep getting bigger and bigger.
The storm's so bad that the Boston Globe decided against publishing a newspaper today for the first time in its 153-year history. Today's show co-host Savannah Guthrie posted a new video message on Instagram today about her missing mother, Nancy, who disappeared 24 days ago from her home in Tucson, Arizona.
Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe in a miracle.
The Guthrie family is now offering a $1 million reward for information about their missing mother. They've also made a $500,000 contribution to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The U.S. Embassy in Mexico is urging Americans to continue to shelter in place there, and this includes the popular vacation resort of Puerto Vallarta. It comes after widespread cartel violence over the weekend. This American citizen telling Fox News.
We've got people come back to the hotel before all this happened saying, do not go out. There's cars on fire. So right then, hey, I'm not leaving. I'm stuck here. And there's no way out.
All of the violence comes after the Mexican military, aided by U.S. intelligence, took down one of Mexico's most notorious drug warlords, former acting ICE director Jonathan Fahey.
I don't think these cartels are ultimately going to be targeting Americans because they know President Trump would come down on them so hard they wouldn't even know what hit them.
Puerto Vallarta, by the way, is a popular spring break destination for many Americans. Peace talks resume this Thursday between the U.S. and Iran in Geneva, Switzerland. President Trump says the clock is ticking for Tehran to abandon its nuclear pursuits. Reporter Stephanie Bennett.
The U.S. State Department has ordered all non-essential staff to leave its embassy in Beirut, and the U.S. is increasing its military presence in the Middle East, including the world's largest warship, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Iran has warned it will retaliate if attacked, with U.S. bases in in the region seen as potential targets.
Former CIA Station Chief Dan Hoffman says Tehran can never be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons.
Imagine if Iran were able to attach a nuclear device to one of those ballistic missiles and threaten the U.S. homeland.
Today, there are more U.S. military assets in the Persian Gulf than at any time since the start of the Iraq War, nearly a quarter century ago. And today marks the 4-year anniversary of the Russia invasion of Ukraine. It was February 24th, 2022, when Vladimir Putin ordered his forces into that sovereign country. Correspondent Beth Noble.
The war has brought massive pain to both sides. There have been hundreds of thousands of Russian and Ukrainian casualties, with several million Ukrainians displaced by the fighting. And only the man who started this war can end it, Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Officials estimate in 4 years of fighting, 1.8 million soldiers have been killed, wounded, or are missing on both sides. Nearly 150,000 Ukrainian civilians have died as a result of this war, which enters year number 5 today. Still to come on the Noon Report for a Tuesday, the cost of childcare, new rules for SNAP, and cows corralled in Hamburg.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, tracking our next snowmaker. It will be arriving overnight tonight. I'll have forecast details up in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. Let's check the stories making news where you live next, all across New York and Pennsylvania. A new report from the New York Comptroller shows the Empire State has the second highest child care costs of any state in the country. Governor Hochul says it's become a generational issue.
I've had to give up a career that I loved because I could not find child care that was affordable when my babies were starting out, and now those babies are having their own babies since it's a long time ago, but they're struggling with child care as well.
The governor's investing $4.5 billion to make universal child care a reality in all 67 New York counties. Critics like Jason McGuire at New York Families says a burdensome tax rate has made it so parents feel compelled to have to work outside the home.
There are things the state could do, but one of those things will be not setting up another big bloated government program that will simply mean more taxation, causing parents to have to find additional sources of income. We've got to lower the cost of government and the overall size and scope of government so we can lower taxes and make families affordable again in this state.
The cost of child care in New York averages anywhere from $15,000 to $17,000 per child per year. Only in Massachusetts is child care more expensive. New York and Pennsylvania residents who rely on food assistance will soon face stricter rules for SNAP eligibility. Able-bodied adults without dependents must work, volunteer, or receive job training for at least 80 hours a month in order to continue getting their SNAP benefits. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Western New York Congressman Joe Morelli.
People who are on these programs may not know whether or not they're the targeted group, they're the so-called able-bodied, and we're going to need as community to continue to talk about this, to continue to urge people to make sure that they're doing everything that they need to do in order to comply.
Natasha Pernicka runs a food pantry in New York's Capital District. She fears these changes to SNAP will lead to more food insecurity.
We're now serving over 100,000 community members, or more than 1 in 8 people are turning to food pantries, and this is something we've never seen before here.
The new work requirements for SNAP take effect March 1st, this coming Sunday. At least 4 people from Western New York will be in the audience tonight when President Trump delivers his State of the Union address. Family Life's Sarah Harnish has a preview.
The White House and members of Congress typically invite guests with policies they want to highlight. This year, Wayne County Sheriff Robert Milby will be in the crowd, a guest of Republican Representative Claudia Tenney. He told WHAM News the invitation hasn't sunk in.
It still hasn't hit me yet, but it was
was an honor to be invited. It's great to be recognized for some of the work that we've been doing in New York State.
Milby's looking forward to Trump's crime policies. Senator Chuck Schumer invited small business owner Ben Pearson from Honeoye Falls, who's been hit hard by the president's tariffs. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. Federal investigators say safety failures led to last summer's deadly explosion at a U.S. steel plant near Pittsburgh. We get those details new at noon from Family Life's Brian Query.
The U.S. Department of Labor has cited United States Steel Corporation and contractor MPW Industrial Services following its investigation into the August 11th explosion at the Clairton Coke Works in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. 2 people were killed and a dozen others were injured in the blast at the massive facility along the Monongahela River. OSHA says inspectors found workers were exposed to hazards, including flammable gas and high-pressure systems, and alleged required safety protocols were not followed. The agency has proposed more than $179,000 in combined penalties. Both companies have 15 business days to respond or contest the findings. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. The Pennsylvania Game Commission wants your help in tracking sick or dead birds. It's to help prevent the spread of bird flu, which is as bad as it's been in 40 years in the Commonwealth. Experts fear bird migrations this spring could exacerbate avian influenza. If you see a sick or dead bird, the Pennsylvania Game Commission would like you to give them a call. Several cows were corralled yesterday from the New York State Thruway in Hamburg. Yeah, it had to be Hamburg. These motorists telling WIVB they couldn't believe what they were seeing with those bovines on the loose.
And the traffic slowed down and we couldn't see right away what was happening. And as we got closer, my boyfriend's mom said, "Are those deer in the center?" And as we got a little bit closer, she said, "I think those are cows."
My GPS said there was an accident, so I was expecting to see, a couple cars in a ditch or something, and it ended up being a couple cows in the median.
All these people were pulled over to the side of the road trying to help. It was crazy.
We were just a little dumbfounded because that certainly is not an everyday event.
Yeah, those cows causing quite a commotion yesterday in Hamburg, New York. Fortunately for them, they did not become ground beef. Not yet, anyway. The cows escaped from a livestock trailer, forcing an hour-long shutdown on the westbound lanes of Interstate 90 near exit 56 in Blaisdell. We've got sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, it was a very light day in sports with the NHL still on its Olympic hiatus and only 3 games on the docket in the NBA, but one of those games featured what could be an NBA Finals showdown. The 40-16 Spurs were in Detroit to take on the team that had the best record at 42-13. It was too much Victor Wembanyama for the Pistons to handle. Wemby scored 21 points, hauled down 17 rebounds. He blocked 6 shots and forced several other changed shots as he dominated in the paint. Devin Vassell scored 28 to lead San Antonio to the 114-103 victory for the Spurs. They've now won 9 in a row, but they are still trailing Oklahoma City in the West by 2.5 games. Jabari Smith Jr. scored 31 points and grabbed 9 rebounds. Amen Thompson had 20, and Kevin Durant scored 18 and had a season-high 12 assists as the Rockets humbled the Utah Jazz 125-105. And in the other contest, the Sacramento Kings ended the longest losing streak in franchise history with a 123-114 victory over Memphis. Russell Westbrook scored 25 points. Precious Achiuwa added 22 and 12 boards. And the 16-game losing streak is over. With the month of March almost here, time to check in on college hoops. The latest coaches poll is out, and a new team is number 1. Duke is in the top spot, followed by Arizona, Michigan, Houston, Iowa State, and UConn. Florida, Purdue, Gonzaga, and Nebraska round out the top 10. That is a look at sports.
All right, thank you, Randy, man. And still to come on the Noon Report for a Tuesday. Big speech time for President Trump. Mayhem in Mexico and digging out from the storm.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm Timothy Paget. Ben Sasse is an accomplished man. He's a devout Christian and proud husband and father. He has a PhD in history from Yale, and he served for a decade or more in higher ed and another decade representing Nebraska in the U.S. Senate, where he earned the sometimes unenviable reputation for not fitting in with any of America's increasingly polarized camps. He's also a dying man. Back in December, he announced on X that he had pancreatic cancer. As he noted in a recent interview with the Hoover Institution's Peter Robinson, this is a disease with a 97% mortality rate, and he has a particularly aggressive case. His doctors gave him 90 days. He's hoping to get a little more time with experimental treatments, but only a little. This kind of thing can focus someone's thinking about what really matters in life. As he put it, whether you have 90 days or 12 months or 12 years or 75 years left to live, we're all going to be pushing up daisies. But knowing now that he has fewer days ahead than he'd expected, he said he's determined to redeem the time. The entire interview is worth your time. It's a profound conversation. Sasse seamlessly and richly discussed the ideas of mortality, theology, education, technology, community, family, identity, and many other fields. What's particularly interesting, given the years he dedicated to public service, is that he has one of the healthiest attitudes towards politics imaginable. He chided professional politicians for being more interested in becoming TikTok stars than doing their jobs, and mourned the fact that for wider portions of the population, politics has become their meaning in life. As he said, don't pretend that politics is the center of the world. The center of your world is where you're raising your kids. It's where you worship. It's where you go to work next to somebody on the line for decades or the farm next door. Now, these words are important mostly because so many have sidelined them. It's what the French philosopher Jacques Ellul called the political illusion. The idea that all problems are, at root, political, and therefore must have political solutions. Everything becomes politics, instead of everything being those people that you love and serve. We see this in our daily lives more and more. It's why people film themselves weeping after an election goes the wrong way. And it's why some cut off relationships with loved ones because they supported the wrong candidate, or weren't as ideological as the mob demanded lately. Or maybe they didn't post the right things on social media, go to the right marches, and aren't outraged about all the right things all the time. So much of this is the downside of our increasingly online world. As Senator Sasse put it, we have gazillions of people screaming all the time on the internet, and we pretend they're representative. They're not all representative. The loudest people have the most ridiculously outsized voice in American life. For much of our culture, politics has taken on the role once played by religion. It can offer the same, though counterfeit, sense of meaning, morality, and justice. This is ironic, because the little gods of our political idolatry are so small that so many of us become unglued when they're threatened. Our hearts are restless without God in our lives, and we're searching for something deeper to fill that void. When asked if his efforts in politics were worth it, Sasse replied, "Theoretically, absolutely. There is no doubt that a framework of ordered liberty is necessary. Power and coercion and restraint of evil are not the center of anybody's loves, or they shouldn't be. The worldview is pretty distorted if politics can become the central thing. And yet, because the world is broken, it's important work. Politics matters, and those called to work in that world serve God and their neighbors in doing so. But it's not the only thing in life, or even the most important thing. Far from it. We can all thank God that, with the bird's eye view offered by the prospect of death, Ben Sasse has blessed us with a reminder of what matters most in life." For the Colson Center, I'm Dr. Timothy Paget. For additional resources or to download and share this commentary, visit colsoncenter.org/radio.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. Let's head outside next. Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Clouds, intervals of sunshine, couple leftover flurries in spots, brisk and cold with high temps 20s. We'll have some snow later tonight into tomorrow morning, a couple inches for many. Low temperatures will occur tonight early in the teens and low 20s. Temps rise overnight. We're heading into the 30s tomorrow. On Thursday, sun and clouds, a few flurries with high temperatures, upper 20s, 30s.
All right, Thank you, Kevin. Feels like the dead of winter out there today, folks. Spring will arrive eventually. I promise you, it always does. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Lots to get to Tuesday, February 24th. President Trump taking the wraps off the first State of the Union address of his second term tonight. The primetime speech before a joint session of Congress will set the table for the GOP agenda going into the crucial midterm elections. Former RNC Chairman Michael Whatley.
President Trump is leading the most transformational term in our lifetime. He is rebuilding our economy. He has restored our borders. He's keeping our communities safe. And he's also made sure that America is going to be strong and respected again around the world.
Dozens of Democrats plan to skip tonight's speech in protest. Virginia's newly elected governor, Abigail Spanberger, will deliver the Democratic rebuttal. NBC's Meet the Press moderator, Kristen Welker.
This is a critical speech for the president. It comes as Republicans are fighting to hold on to Congress in the midterms. One of the biggest questions tonight, how exactly will he address the economy? Republicans I've been talking to want him to stay on message, express that he understands that people are struggling, and to lay out a clear path forward.
President Trump enters tonight's speech with about a 39% approval rating. That is 2 points better than Barack Obama when he gave the first State of the Union speech of his second term. Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie released a new video on Instagram today about her missing mother, Nancy, who was taken from her Tucson, Arizona home 24 days ago.
We need to know where she is. We need her to come home.
The Guthrie family is now offering a $1 million reward, leading to a break in this case. More than 3 feet of snow has buried parts of the Northeast. Hundreds of thousands still do not have power from this bomb cyclone. Thousands of flights were canceled again today. Melanie Black has the latest from hard-hit Boston.
Wow, what a day yesterday. Boston experienced a blizzard for the first time in years. Monster snow totals across the region and hurricane-force wind gusts rocked the state. Snow removal could last into the weekend. Coastal areas of Massachusetts were some of the hardest hit by the storm. There are massive restoration efforts that are underway today, especially for Cape Cod.
Needless to say, booking a flight anywhere in the Northeast today has proven to be a difficult endeavor. Aviation expert Tom Costello.
A quarter of all flights on any given day go into, out of, or through New York airspace. So when a megastorm makes that airspace off limits, the snowball effect extends across the entire country. It can take days to recover.
Providence, Rhode Island got a record 3 feet of snow from this storm. The blizzard's so bad that the Boston Globe decided against publishing a newspaper today. That hasn't happened ever in the 153-year history of that newspaper. U.S. citizens in Mexico being ordered to shelter in place after the assassination of a notorious drug lord. El Mencho's his name. His death on Sunday sparked violent reprisals by Mexican cartels.
El Mencho's henchmen responded by taking to the streets, killing dozens of people in stores, gas stations, roadways, all burned. Flights in and out of the area were grounded.
Correspondent Jillian Turner in Puerto Vallarta, a popular beach resort along Mexico's Pacific coast. Mexico's handed over more than 100 drug cartel members since the death of El Mencho on Sunday. Today marks the 4-year anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war, Europe's largest war since World War II. Reporter Beth Noble.
After 4 years, Russia has surprisingly little to show for its war of aggression. While it has taken about 20% of Ukraine's territory, Russia has lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers and a large chunk of its international standing in the process. The Ukrainians are absolutely exhausted by these 4 years of war, but they are fighting on because they would be under mortal danger under Russian rule.
Former CIA station chief Dan Hoffman doesn't see this war ending anytime soon.
Putin has a high threshold for pain, and I don't see him stopping unless we stop him.
Officials estimate in 4 years of fighting, 1.8 million soldiers have been killed, wounded, or are missing on both sides. Nearly 150,000 Ukrainian civilians have died as a result of this war. You're listening to the Noon Report, a Tuesday edition on Family Life.
providing a Christian education alternative in Western New York. Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this week's guest is Scott Stutzman, principal of the Chautauqua Christian Academy, providing that alternative for the past 50 years. Though he says his role and the current name are of a more recent vintage.
It transitioned into Chautauqua Christian somewhere around 2020. Bethel Baptist was planning on perhaps closing that chapter, and then there was a new school board that was looking to open up as Chautauqua Christian Academy, and they were looking for a seasoned administrator to take the lead, and that's when they reached out to me to ask if I could share how they should go about doing it. And at that time, I didn't know if I was going to, take a job doing that.
Started out with just a handful of students. It seems to be growing quite well.
I am so proud of the work that we're doing over here at Chautauqua Christian. When I took the job several years ago, we had 57 students. Now we're in the 160s. We have turned away so many families because we're growing so fast. But the thing that I love the most about this school is it's like one big family. And we have the best of the best educators here, and we're focused on getting kids ready for the AI generation. So we've been implementing robotics classes, marketing classes, entrepreneurial classes. And we also offer trades through BOCES, which is done through our local public school system that we work with. And even over and above that, we have a partnership with Houghton University. So our kids can do dual enrollment while under this roof, and there's no additional cost for that partnership.
We hear a lot these days about the whole public versus private education and what's going on in a lot of public schools. And I think a lot of people have been giving a second look at alternatives like Christian academies.
It's interesting because I'm going on, I believe, my 22nd or 23rd year in education, and I've been in both public and now in private. And there's a good place for both of them. But I think what we offer here at CCA is we could do things just a little differently. And I'll never hide behind the fact that we implement the character of Christ. And those are the qualities that I think businesses want for their future, the soft skills that we see fading in this world. We want to work on those soft skills. And our critical thinking skills, those are the type of skills that we really focus on, and they're all built around the character of Christ. So I think that in conjunction with this being one really awesome, great family, and people want to be part of a great family, and so when anybody enrolls at this school, they join a great family over here that includes our staff, our faculty, and then obviously our students and their parents.
Let's delve a little bit more into what you called soft skills. What are some of those, and why are they so important?
It's interesting because as we look at the generation and we look at what's facing our kids, for instance, we know that our kids have cell phones out constantly, and most of our kids' heads are in those cell phones all the time. They're losing the soft skills of simple things like a warm greeting, a handshake. Those things are getting lost. When we have tours in our school, we never tell the students that we have somebody coming in the building so that it's like a stage that was preset. But 9 out of 10 times, our kids will greet those that are touring with a handshake, a welcome, kind conversation. We really want to make sure that our kids have those skills because they're getting lost. And those are the skills that are embedded in pretty much every classroom, even general communication skills. We had a communication skills class in the past that was mandated, and we're going to bring that class back again next year because we want our kids to be able to know how to communicate in all environments.
Yeah, so important. Talk a little bit about how you go about preparing kids. Once they're out of that school, when they've gone through that and they're out in the world, it's a challenge to hold on to what they've been taught.
We just saw the other day what happened with our U.S. hockey team, and we know the gentleman that got the final goal. He had his teeth knocked out just prior to that, and he got right back in. And why do I use that as an example? Because I do a weekly email, and in that email, I talk about grit. And grit is you don't lay down when you get the hard slap, because the world is going to give you that. You have to learn how to navigate this world with grit. And I think the one thing we also focus on at CCA is that our kids have grit, and they learn how to navigate the challenges. And so when they leave this school, when all of a sudden a situation shows up that maybe they didn't expect, they don't lay down. They look for solutions. They use their critical thinking skills, and they use the soft skills to be able to address those things that maybe they're not prepared prepared, but we prepare them as best as possible at this school for what they'll face once they walk out the doors.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible, of course, talks about, meekness, but people often mistake meekness for just rolling over and being wishy-washy, and that's certainly not what it's really about.
And I agree with you there. And the world needs more grit. And grit isn't that all of a sudden we jump on social media and we're, saying things nasty back and forth or a social media battle. That's not grit. Grit is, what do you do when you hit a situation, you don't know how to address it, and sometimes it's going to be a really tough situation. I like to call those trials or challenges that kids will face, and we all face them. No matter who you are, you're going to face those. And we want to teach the kids the process for doing that. And we never leave out the character of Christ in prayer because we're a Christian school. And that is a very critical element, is knowing that you can go to your maker and pray and talk with him about different situations. There's an old quote that I learned many years ago in public education, and the quote is, culture trumps strategy. And quite honestly, there's great strategies in many, many schools across this state and across this nation, but you have to create a culture. And CCA has created a culture that begins with a family feel, and that culture is what allows our kids to thrive and prepares them for when they leave this school. And that's something I'm really proud of, is the culture trumps the strategy, but in essence, our kids now are so prepared for the world because we've established that culture, which allows them to be successful in the classroom because they love being here.
That's Scott Stutzman, principal of the Chautauqua Christian Academy, providing a faith-based education alternative to Western New Yorkers for 50 years. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
All right, thank you very much, Mark Webster. Hometown Heroes comes your way every Tuesday during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We had a little break this afternoon from the recent winter weather with just a few lake flurries left over. We will watch till the next clipper arrive. That's going to bring some snow overnight tonight. Flurries and local lake effect will follow. For this afternoon, clouds, intervals of sunshine, couple leftover flurries in spots, brisk and cold with high temps 20s. We'll have some snow later tonight into tomorrow morning, a couple inches for many. Low temperatures will occur tonight early in the teens and low 20s. Temps rise overnight. We're heading into the 30s tomorrow. On Thursday, sun and clouds, a few flurries. The area of snow could pass into areas south of I-80 and parts of Pennsylvania on Thursday, with high temperatures upper 20s and 30s.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon, in case you're wondering, the longest drive between bathroom breaks in these United States is the 648-mile drive between Belfield, North Dakota, and Mitchell, South Dakota. Somebody thought it was a good idea to figure this out. Yeah, there's not a rest stop in sight between those two spots. Not one for 648 miles. Takes nearly 11 hours to make that drive if you go the speed limit. Coming in second place on the no potty break road trip list is the 513-mile journey between Fall River, South Dakota, and Cairo, Nebraska. The 324-mile trek between Scott City, Kansas, and Belleville, Kansas, is the third longest drive without a restroom in these United States. And by the way, in case you're wondering, going the bathroom along the side of the highway, that's illegal in all 50 states. Just saying. And that's our world, the world we live in. Tuesday, February 24th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.